My name is Peter Sanders. If you're hearing this, then the archives were never sealed as they should have been. Here, we collect fragments of stories that were never meant to surface. Voices caught on tape, memories burned into static. Welcome to the Lost Tapes Department.
They told me it was just an image, a file passed around the early web like an urban legend, a joke for those willing to dig to the filth of forgotten forums. Smile, JPG. That's what they called it. I laughed at first too, in the break room of the Library of Congress archive. Someone mentioned over stale coffee and day-old donuts. I'd been hired to preserve internet detritus, old message boards, rogue software, death metal fan sites. And this rumor of a cursed picture sounded like exactly the kind of digital folklore I live for. My name is Daniel Reeves, and 6 months ago I would have sworn nothing could scare me. I'd grown up chasing corrupted diskettes and glitch art across dusty basements. I prided myself on dissecting viruses, decrypting scrambled data, recovering lost files. But Smile, JPG, didn't behave like any file I'd ever seen. The folder arrived on a stack of CDs pulled from a decommissioned Usenet server. Each disc was labeled with a date and a cryptic keyword. Spam, memes, chain mail, but one bore no label at all. Inside was a single file, smile.jpg. No readme, no timestamp. The metadata read January 1st, 1900. My workstation crashed the moment I tried to view it. My colleagues told me to drop it. They said it was corrupted. I should move on. But you know how curiosity works once it's lodged in your skull. My fourth attempt happened at 2 in the morning. I cleared my desk, disabled every non-essential process, even rerouted my network traffic through an isolated VLAN. The file opened, for one heartbeat. When the image blinked onto the screen, I saw it, a dog, canine body half buried in shadow, sitting against a dirty wall. Its fur was matted but unremarkable. Its ears were upright. And its grin was impossibly human. Every tooth gleamed with a wet perfection, like polished ivory. The eyes glowed crimson, as though they held a burning light. I slammed the viewer closed. My pulse thundered in my ears. The air in the room felt frozen. I should have deleted the file. I should have disavowed it altogether. Instead, I backed it up to a flash drive. The next morning, I found it copied onto my personal laptop, one I never connected to work. I stared at the icon, my heart pounding, convinced someone on the graveyard shift had played a cruel prank. But no one claimed responsibility. That night, I dreamed of it. The same image, longer this time. The dog's head tilted, the smile widening until the jaws seemed elastic. No movement in the body, just a slow expansion of that grin, stretching across its face, pulling at the corners of the mouth until the cheek furrowed. I woke screaming. Sweat plastered my skin, the taste of copper in my mouth. In the days that followed, my world unspooled. My dreams bled into waking life. The hum of fluorescent lights became a low, mocking chuckle. My head throbbed with migraine pain every time I blinked. My workstation's fans sounded like panting breath. When I put on headphones, I heard static, and beneath it, a faint voice, soft, mocking, weaving the word smile into a loop I could not escape. I tried every conventional fix. I ran anti-malware scans. I formatted drives. I even rebuilt my OS from scratch, cleaner than when it left the factory. Yet smile.jpg slipped back in. It arrived on new flash drives I'd never owned. It landed in my inbox from email addresses that didn't exist. It hit on burned DVDs in my sock drawer. Each time I deleted one copy, 3 more surfaced. My relationships fractured. I called my sister, sent her an email warning her not to open anything labeled smile.jpg. She replied that I was overworked, that she'd delete it. A week later, all her social media accounts vanished. My parents claimed they hadn't heard from her. A message reappeared in my draft folder. You should have left it alone. No signature. No date. I reached out to Andrea, the digital forensics specialist I trusted most. She laughed when I described what I thought was happening. Daniel, she said, this is echoic memory or stress hallucinations. You've spent your life staring at screens and dead data. Take a vacation. I booked a flight the next day to visit a friend in Vermont. I thought a weekend in the mountains might reset my brain. On the plane, I pulled out my laptop to finish an overdue report. The login screen shimmered, glitched, then resolved into a thumbnail of smiledog. The dog's grin was pressed flush against the display, its eyes red embers. My coffee sloshed over the armrest. I dropped the laptop onto the hardwood floor of the terminal. Sparks flickered from the power port. Passengers stared. I stamped on the edge until the case bent. Back at my apartment, I tossed the pieces into a trash bag and hurled it into the dumpster. Later, something scraped at the back door, a slow, deliberate clawing. I peered through the peephole. Nothing but darkness. Then in the corner of the lens, I thought I saw two red glints. I stumbled back, vomiting in the hallway. The next morning on my bare bedroom wall, I found fresh scratches. Thin, angry lines scored into paint. Underneath, tiny black dots, barely visible, like the imprint of a stamp. I pressed my fingertips against the dots, felt a burn. Over the day, they multiplied. Behind my ears, on the back of my neck, on my collarbone. I tried to wash them off with soap, with bleach. They only darkened. I planted my face in research. I joined secret forums hidden behind onion sites. There, survivors shared their stories. Sleepless nights that turned to seizures, odd physical marks, creeping paranoia. They spoke of hearing laughter when there was no one in the room, of catching glimpses of the dog's grin behind glass, windows, mirrors, even the surface of their morning coffee. Some claimed to have printed the image onto paper. They felt safe because it was offline, only to find the dog's teeth smeared by dripping wax where candles had burned. One user, calling herself Raven, claimed she'd managed to cleanse her apartment with salt lines and sage, but she warned that rituals only delay the inevitable. You don't beat it, she wrote. You survive until it decides it's time. Her last post ended mid-sentence. When I messaged her for details, her entire profile was gone. I tried logic. I hex-edited the file, scrambled the pixels, overwrote the data. Each version I created was more corrupted than the last, until the image resolved itself. Every time, no matter how many bits I flipped, the dog's grin reformed. The more I analyzed the code, the more it looked organic, like the file was alive, repairing itself, feeding on my attempts to destroy it. Days blurred into nights. I slept in 5-minute intervals, jolting awake at the echo of phantom footsteps. I drained my apartment of anything reflective. Mirrors shattered into shards I swept into industrial trash bags. I blacked out every window. I painted the walls matte black, so even candlelight couldn't flicker off them. Still, it found me. Once, I caught my reflection in the darkened screen of my TV. I thought it was me, standing behind the couch, but as I shifted, the image remained frozen, eyes locked on mine. When I broke the glass with a crowbar, the reflection grinned back with rows of teeth I did not possess. It laughed. My phone died. My landline stopped working. I smoked cigarettes through an open window, because even the stove flames seemed to flicker with that grin. I lived on granola bars and water. My skin grew pale. My hair fell out in clumps. I don't remember how, but I stumbled across an old interview with a man named Dr. Harris, a folklore anthropologist who'd studied cursed photographs in the early 20th century. He'd written of images that carried curses, items you could never truly discard. They crossed the boundary between representation and reality, he said. Once you share them, they become a part of you. He'd taken his own life 6 months after seeing the original photo, a peeling Polaroid of a carnival clown with hollow eye sockets. I realized with a cold dread that I'd made the same mistake. I'd preserved the file to protect it from oblivion. I'd archived it. I'd shared it inadvertently with every machine I touched. It was seated in my life. There was no going back. Andrea called me one night. She said she'd found my emails, warnings I'd sent, forwarded to her entire department. Everyone had seen the file. "Daniel," she whispered, voice shaking. "It's in the library secure servers. The metadata logs show it replicating itself across multiple archives. Thousands of copies." She started to cry. "We can't stop it. Even if we wipe every drive, even if we burn every disk, it's out there." I set my apartment on fire. I filled the rooms with gasoline and watched the flames lick the door frames. Smoke stung my lungs. I waited until dawn to see if the dog would appear in the flickering embers. It did not. I crawled outside as the sprinkler system soaked the charred remains of my life. I spent days wandering the city. I slept in a hammock in a public park, head pulsing, arms itching with black dots erupting across my forearms. A woman walked her dog past me, a friendly beagle with soft fur. Its face split into a human grin as it passed. I screamed and fled. Then I saw it in the newspaper, a photograph of a missing child. The corner of the print, smiledog smudged over her face. Her eyes glowed red. I stared until the ink blurred. Now I'm here, in a rented room with no windows and metal-plated doors. I sleep on the floor, so there's no reflection in a bedside table. My phone is disabled, my laptop is bricked. I eat dry rice from a paper bag by candlelight. The moment I let the candle burn too low, I see the dog's shape in a dancing shadow. I'm recording this on a borrowed tape recorder because ink has become dangerous. Even the printed letters skew when I look at them. Sometimes I swear the words shift in front of my eyes, twisting into mouths full of teeth. I know what's coming. The seizure started again yesterday, jolted me like a live wire. My vision splinters into static. The sound of laughter hammers behind my skull. A single rule remains. Don't look directly at it for more than a few seconds. Don't show it to anyone else. Don't try to describe it. Don't think about it for too long. I broke them all. Tonight, I will close my eyes and pray I dream of nothing. But the dog finds me in the dark if its grin stretches behind my eyelids. I want you to know, I tried to warn you. Smile.jpg is not a file. It is an organism. It lives in perception, feeding on attention, growing stronger with every glance. If you ever see an image labeled smile.jpg, turn away, delete it, burn every trace, and then forget you ever learned its name. Because if you don't, it will find you in your screen, in your dreams, in the deepest corners of your mind. And once it has, you will never smile again.